Hey, welcome to your Aquarius horoscopes for the week of November 12th through the 18th. We have the moon sneaking in at the end of the week, bringing some of its influence in here. We continue to be in the middle of the Pluto Saturn bookends here, as Pluto is technically very loosely on the cusp of Aquarius, still in Capricorn, whereas Saturn is 0 degrees Pisces. It's the true cusp of both signs. So we still have that influence there as well. And then at the very, very, very end of the week, as we move into Saturday, the moon's going to kind of sort of bump into the sign as well. First of all, Pluto is in 3 different grand sextiles. I mean, basically, positively working with almost every planet in the zodiac, minus 1 or 2, literally. I think literally 2 planets. It's not working with in a positive way, which is very good. And while Aquarius's focus is on self, Pluto is bringing that inner trauma focus in as well, because nobody understands how our trauma makes us the person that we are, like Aquarians do. Being that Aquarians tend to be non-emotional, and it's not true. Aquarians really are emotional. Trust me, I am one. We are really emotional, but we hide it very well. We play at not being emotional very, very well. And it's that playing that allows us to cut it off when it's not necessary. It allows us to kind of sort of switch it off when we need to focus on something that's more important than that. Now, unfortunately, that also can play into continuing to switch it off until we buried it so far down there that it explodes one day. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about being able to deal with what's in front of you in any situation that you're in, but also not feeling guilty when you have those days where you can't. I mean, I just wish recently myself went through that a few days ago when I lost one of my fur babies, and then it was really upsetting, and I really just had to spend a couple of days just mourning that, because I could not focus on anything else, and that's okay. When you can do that, and when you have the ability to do that, I firmly believe that you should, especially Aquarians, because we don't want to be completely and totally emotionally detached either. That can happen very easily. The moon actually comes in a couple of different ways. One is a little bit difficult, one is a little bit challenging. Really, the biggest challenge is the moon's square with Jupiter. It looks like that is Jupiter, yes. The moon square with Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is focused on the mind and how the mind works, and it's all about expansion and growth, and it's retrograde. So it's saying we're not expanding and we're not growing. And what's interesting about this is, in order to really understand the lessons that our trauma has taught us, and to be able to release the control that that trauma has over our lives currently, right now, the challenge is going to be in changing your mindset on that. And if you go through the process, you'll understand that some things are easier than others. There are some aspects of our trauma where we are in a place where we can forgive, or we can forget, or we can learn from it, where we can let it go. But there are other things that are just really difficult for us to let go. Like, for example, my difficulties with my mother. They're not the exact same as they used to be, but it's still hard for me to let go of the fact that she should have been a better mother and not the one that she was, right? And that's, to me, honestly, that's not helping me. wanting her to be somebody else isn't helping me, because she's not going to turn into somebody else. Trust me, I have waited 46 years for that to happen. It's not going to happen. She's not going to change her ways. She's not going to learn what she's doing to other people. She's going to continue to do what she's always done. And sometimes the only thing that you can do is accept a person for the way that they are, period. You don't have to like it. You don't have to spend time with it, but you have to accept it, because there is no other alternative. And sometimes that's very difficult. So my advice on that is to work on those things that you can accept and let go of, and not try and force yourself to accept and let go of things that you're not ready to do yet. Sometimes there's a piece of the puzzle we're not seeing. And until we see that piece of the puzzle, it's impossible for us to rewrite the story or to let it go, if that makes sense. The moon is in a trine with Venus. Now, Venus is all about money and making money, and the moon's emotions are focused on trauma. Now, this is actually also very interesting, and something that I learned one day, which completely blew my mind, actually, and that is how much your childhood perception has an effect on your current money situation. I mean, you wouldn't think necessarily, because we don't use money a lot as children, that it would have an effect on us. But then when you look at your childhood, you look at whether there was money there, or if the family was constantly struggling. Were you eating all the time? Were you never eating at all because there was never any food in the house? The time that you grew up in, what was that influence? I grew up in the 80s in Los Angeles, where I could see the Hollywood sign from the playground at my school. So every kid was at the mall. It was a fashion show at school every single day. And of course, we had nothing. And what we did have was not going to be spent on me wanting to shop for new clothes every other day. So it had an effect on me in some way, an effect that I didn't realize it really had, and not in the way that you would think either, if that makes sense, because I'm an Aquarius and we're very different from everybody, right? This release of this trauma helps you to also release your negative mindsets around finding creative ways to deal with money. Think about it. Here we are, the holidays are coming, money is tight all across the board, the economy is terrible, no matter where you are in the world. It's very easy to slip into a depression, or a negative mindset about how no matter what you do, you're never going to have enough money. And that blocks your ability to be able to see all of the different ways that you could use to fix that problem. Again, this is another thing that I've been struggling with a lot lately. And the minute I fall into that slump, I am powerless to find a change or to find a solution to my problem. So the moon's trine with Venus is actually the helping hand that we've been waiting for. It's that breath, or that drink of cool water when we're in the desert, just dying of thirst there, that says, look, get out of your head, stop wallowing in what did happen, and look at the solutions that are in front of you right now. You never know. You could see the exact solution that you need right there in front of you, that you won't be looking at if you're too busy stuck in your head about your trauma and what's going on there. So that's what I have for you guys this week. Being stuck in your head, by the way, that is the number one biggest problem that we Aquarians have, honestly, is this in here. It takes up way too much time, and it is not always an effective way of taking up that time either. And we do need to take that into consideration in order to make sure that we're putting ourselves in the most successful place. So okay, now that's what I have for you guys. If you love your horoscopes, do consider sending a tip or donation through my coffee link, which is there in the description. I would really appreciate that. I love my coffees. I'm Melissa Bruce, Heavy Metal Psychic. I will see you guys next week. And in the meantime, you guys make it a great week. You know, we often go on and on about not having control over this and not having control over that. You have complete control over whether it's a good week or not. Think about that. I'll see you guys next week.